I know. It's sacrilege to shoot Voigtlander or any other lenses on a Leica camera, especially the M11-P, for God's sakes. How could you do that? I swear to God, you can't make this stuff up. Look at, I love Voigtlander glass. It does an amazing job for what I needed to do. Now, I'm not saying that Leica glass is not amazing. It is. It has such great characteristics. But I think with today's manufacturing, I think the playing field has been pretty well evened out as far as glass. Whether it's Nikon, Canon, Sony, Voigtlander, Leica. Yeah, there's something a little special to have a piece of Leica glass on the body. And believe it or not, a lot of people get into the Leica system because of the Leica glass alone, because of its heritage. For me, I use a Leica body because I love a rangefinder camera. That's it. I love rangefinder shooting. I love manual focus. I love this form factor. I like the system. Voigtlander glass on this body is incredible. So if I can get this 35 Nokton 1.5 for probably less than $1,000, or spend $5,000 on Summilux 35, but this is giving me what I want, why would I spend the extra $4,000? It doesn't make sense to me because I am not into this system for prestige. I'm into this system to shoot pictures. That's it. This is what this does for me. Do I love it? God, it's the best camera I've ever owned. I love using this system 100%. I just love taking this out of the bag. Work isn't work for me anymore. It's always a hobby. Every time I go to a job now, before it was like, okay, take out the big system, take out the lenses, and now it's just like, it's just a hobby. And I'm getting paid for my hobby. Now, I've been doing this for 42 years professionally, 100% of the time, not part-time. And this is the first time I feel like I just started again, and I feel all that joy that's come back to me. That's why I use Leica, not because of the name. Now, do I like that it's handmade in Germany? Absolutely. Do I like that they had issues with this camera? No. But my camera's good now, knock on wood. There's no issues, I'm having no problems with it, and I love Voigtlander glass. So today we're shooting with the Voigtlander Nokton 35 1.5. I have the version 2 in silver. It's the brass version. I love their brass lenses. They're just made so well. And let's see what we can do with it. Believe me, once you get over the hump of putting a different piece of glass on this Leica body, number one, your bank account's got to be really happy. But you're going to save so much money, and you're just going to enjoy it because it really is an enjoyable camera system, no matter what glass you have on it. For those of you who insist on Leica glass, that's completely up to you. That's your choice. But for me, I'm really happy with the Voigtlanders. Now, I think my most used Leica glass, and I had Leica glass, don't get me wrong, it's just that I always gravitate to the Voigtlanders because I really love them that much. But I use my 90mm Elmerit because I love that lens. I love the way it renders. And my Voigtlander 90, the hard stop at infinity goes blurry for me. And I've had 3 different copies, and that's why I use the Elmerit. And I love the Elmerit. It's lightweight, it's small, it's sharp. It renders skin beautifully, and the hard stop in infinity actually works. So that's why I use that one. But anyway, let's get into the shoot, see how we do with this. So I had to re-edit the entire second half of this video because apparently the little pocket LED that I used later on in the video can't be shown yet. It's top secret until next month. I don't know. That's kind of silly to me. So I'm shooting natural light throughout the building to show you from ISO 64 to ISO 4000, I think I went up to. Because lenses have a different rendering at higher ISOs, in my opinion, depending on the coating. This lens did pretty well. The other thing people complained about with this lens is a mid-zone dip or something. I shoot all my portraits mid-zone with the eyes at mid-zone. I don't see a dip. This is wide open at 1.5 and it's sharp. It is a beautiful rendering lens. It is sharp. I guess if you're shooting charts for a living or brick walls for a living, that kind of stuff would matter. But for real world photos, this lens does fantastic. And I'm shooting in every scenario. So you can see colors like this and how the lens renders colors. Now, obviously, I did some editing on these in Lightroom Mobile and some minor retouching on her skin, but it's just Lightroom Mobile. And, I did, a little bit of enhancement, if you will. The lens renders beautifully. Now, I have the 35 1.2, and I don't mind weight on any lens, other than on Nokton, which is big and heavy. That bothers me carrying around. But this lens, it is so nice. The 35 1.2 is bigger and heavier, and the weight doesn't bother me as much as the size of it. That's the thing with if I had one lens to choose between the 35 1.2 or the 35 1.5, I think it would be this lens, hands down. The background rendering is beautiful to me. Oh, this is that LED that I was talking about. I'm using it in the bathroom. Don't ask me why I'm shooting in a bathroom. I just thought it would be a cool shot. And using this little pocket LED just fit the bill. It worked perfectly. Okay, getting back to the lens. At 1.5, I think it renders great. I love the blur. I love the 3D separation. I think it has everything like that most people are looking for, say in a Leica Summilux. This comes pretty darn close. Other than the 1.4 to 1.5, which people actually bitch about, just doesn't make sense to me. This lens is fantastic. And it's actually smaller than the Summilux and lighter than the Summilux. And it renders, if I printed these out, you couldn't tell the difference. I don't care who you are. You would not be able to tell the difference between this lens and the Summilux in print or online. Now, she had that fluorescent light above her head, so it was a hot forehead and raccoon eyes. So I used that pocket LED and held it right above the lens to fill in the shadows, and it was beautiful. So I can't wait to show you these later because they are actually pretty cool. And this is a 3-point lighting system in studio with pocket LEDs. Now, obviously, I'm using some of the ambient light, but I have it blocked off a little bit. With that scrim, I took it down quite a bit, and you can see that on her face. The controlled lighting in these images are from the LEDs. And, if you look at the hair light and the light on her face and the shadowing, it's coming from the LEDs, not from the window light. So these do a great little job. I understand that everybody wants these big, expensive lights. It just can't afford them sometimes. But if you can do 3-point lighting with a pocket LED like this is really kind of cool. So, later next month, I will definitely be showing these and telling you all about them because they are a nice little light and they're really lightweight and they are RGB on top of that. So now I don't use RGB lights that often. But when I do, I hate to screw up like I did in this picture with that blue light on her hair. Like it was just too much. And, rather than going over there and turn it down just a little bit, I got lazy and just left it there. And it ended up to be a horrible picture, which is 100% my fault, not the lights. Anyway, enough beating myself up. Getting back to the lens, getting over that hump in your head that, it's a third-party lens on a Leica body, and how could I do this? It's sacrilege. It's really easy for me because once I use these lenses, I fall in love. Now the 35 Apo, I do have that. I have the 35 1.2 Nokton, and I have the 35 1.5 Nokton, which is this one. I need the 35 Apo for commercial work. The only Leica lens that I desire more than anything or anyone is the 35 Apo from Leica because it's small. It's smaller than the Voigtlander version, and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous lens. I just can't get over the $9,000 price tag. Someday I still will buy it for myself. I know I will, but it's going to be a matter of affordability or a really good present to myself. So, here I'm back shooting just natural light, ISO 4000 and above on one of these. But, you can see the colors. It looks good. There's just nothing to dislike about this lens. And the other part of that is this lens is smaller than a Summilux. And it's a beautiful lens. Now, I know like Leica lenses have a look on the Leica body, and you can't deny that. And I'm talking a visual look, not the look of the images. Because I'm telling you, I promise you, if I put
these images from a Summilux and from this lens side by side in a print, there's nobody on earth that can tell the difference. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching as always.